Welcome to Brobench. In this video, we're going to take a look how to export records in the query module. Brobench has excellent capabilities to export your data. So when you query the data, you can fetch all the records, and then you can right-click, and then you can export them in various formats, or you can also copy directly into the clipboard. Or you could also select and then do Control-C to be able to copy that particular data range that you selected. However, when you have a lot of records, for example, let's say we have in this case 30,000 records. To export all of them, first you will have to fetch the records, so fetch all the batches. Okay, so you can fetch individual batch at a time or multiple batches, and then it's gonna pull all of those records into the grid, and then you can export it, all the records. So it is okay, but if you have a lot more records, there are a couple of issues, right? So one is that, of course, you have to fetch all of them at a time, and then you have to bring all of them into the grid, and then you export them in a second time. So that can be a little bit cumbersome or time consuming. So in the version 4.9, we introduce a capability to directly export a query and as well as a bulk job details into various formats. So to do that, you can just select the query that you want. For example, in this case, I want to export field permissions. Just click on export. By default, it takes the query that you have selected, and then it will fetch all the records, and then exports as a CSV. So for example, if you go click on this, you can see that it is fetching the details, fetching all the records, and then it will save the file as the records as CSV. Okay, so it will allow you to download it. So as simple as that. So it is quicker, faster, and then with less clicks that you have to deal with. It does support other formats. For example, you can select as Excel, TSV, or JSON, and you can also go to export to see other options. So in the export, so we have a few formats. For example, you can say you want an Excel. In the option, it also supports G Sheet. So when you select a G Sheet, you can enter the Google connection. Go check out the help how to add a Google connection or manage them. And when you enter, it will so let's say we just want to add some limit. So then it will query all the data, and then it will export into G Sheet and show the URL where the results are stored. In this case, the results are stored here. So when you go here, you would see the records are there. Okay. It also supports exporting into bulk, exporting the bulk results. Okay. So for example, I have a few. I have this devarg. So let's use bulk data loads, and then enter those IDs and see how they come about. Okay, so I have this bulk query. In this case, let's say account, so 27 records. So if you go back here, and then export options, and then say bulk results, okay, and then you can say CSV. So it will, let's go to G Sheet, and then bulk job ID, and when you export it, okay, so it is exported as a G Sheet. So you can see all the data is here, 27 records. Similarly, it also supports exporting the results of a ingest job for a bulk V2. For example, in this case, we have a bulk V2 update job. So if you select that ID and do the export, enter the ID here. So it's an ingest job, so it will export the status of those records. So in this case, so this is an input, that I had 2 records and both of them are failed. So these are the 3 different fields that added by default from Salesforce, and underscore category is a field that Brobench added to indicate which category of this particular record came from. Remember, the bulk V2 ingest job lets you download the status or the results in 3 different types: successful records, failed records, and unprocessed records. So because Brobench combines all of them into one view, so it's important to know that which category of that particular record belongs to, just to indicate. Okay. Yeah, so these are all the different capabilities in exporting the data. It cannot get any more simpler than this. So if you go to the query and we have additional options here, for example, you can execute, you can query bulk if you have a lot of records to run them. You can select the API type as a bulk. In this case, let's say we don't have a lot of records, this is a dev, but if you were to, then you can select that as a bulk options. For example, let's say query, okay, bulk permissions, and then the bulk job, and then export it. Okay, so you can see that it has exported all 30,000 or so records into the G sheet. Okay, thank you.